Homelessness in America is at a record high, with more than 770,000 unhoused Americans in 2024. While the government doesn't track the number of unhoused who are working, shelter service agencies say that number is growing too. It's a symptom of what's being called the affordability crisis. For tonight's interview, we turn to author Brian Goldstone, who has a new book, and it's called There Is No Place for Us: Working and Homeless in America. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Can we start with, you write that the term working homeless seems like an oxymoron. Tell us who would fit in that category and why it's an oxymoron.
Yeah, so in America today, across the country, a low-wage job is homelessness waiting to happen. The number of people who fit that description, working homeless, that is not like a tiny number. That's not a marginal phenomenon. A growing portion of the low-wage workforce is either at immediate risk of falling into homelessness or is already experiencing homelessness. And you mentioned that official number of people experiencing homelessness in America, around 770,000, which is the highest number on record. But by cobbling together different data sources, what I've been able to find is that the actual number is roughly 6 times that amount. And a huge portion of that number of people experiencing homelessness are people with jobs.
You have a startling statistic in the book. It says, today there isn't a single state, metropolitan area, or county in the United States where a full-time worker earning the local minimum wage can afford a 2-bedroom apartment. Give me a sense of some of the jobs that we're talking about here that people have who are working homeless.
Yeah, we're talking about people who are working at McDonald's, who are working at Walmart, who are packing boxes for Amazon, who are doing airport runs for Uber and Lyft. And when they finish their shifts, they're returning not to an apartment, but in many cases, they're sleeping in the very car that they just did that airport run in. Or it's a family that when the mom gets off work at Walmart, they're going to a shelter, or they're doubling up with others, or increasingly, they're going to these squalid extended stay hotel rooms.
You focused on Atlanta. Why there? And is Atlanta idiosyncratic or representative of larger trends?
In one way, Atlanta is special. Atlanta was the first city in America during the 1930s to build public housing. And during the 90s and 2000s, Atlanta was actually the first city in America to demolish all of its public housing. So in a way, you could sort of tell the story of housing policy in this country just through Atlanta's own trajectory. But the reason the book is based in Atlanta is more because of how representative it is. Over the last decade or so, Atlanta has undergone this dramatic renaissance, this much celebrated transformation of its urban core. And that is a trend that we're seeing across the country. We're seeing, unemployment at a record low. We're seeing the economy in these cities booming, and we're also seeing the very people who power those economies, the very people doing the jobs that make our cities run. They are increasingly not just getting pushed out of their neighborhoods, but they're being pushed out of stable housing altogether.
So 20 seconds left, Brian. Is that why you say families are not falling into homelessness, they're being pushed?
Absolutely. Homelessness in this country is a policy choice. That's a choice that we as a society have made. And it also means that we have a choice to stop this devastating trend.
Brian Goldstone, the book is There Is No Place for Us: Working and Homeless in America. Thank you so much.